Hello, I'm your host, Ina Johnson Myers. I'm a 24-year retired Army combat veteran, the CEO of When She Rise, and your resiliency coach. I help women understand the difference between healthy and narcissistic loving relationships. We all know that pain is inevitable at some point in life, but the long suffering from toxic relationships is optional. I help survivors put an expiration date on that pain. As a 3 times best-selling author and an international speaker, I travel all over the globe to empower women by sharing my message. Broken and abused women raise broken and or abused children. My ministry and mandate is to help change generations and nations by helping victims regain their voice and develop the strength and strategies that they need to get through their healing journey. Abuse has never been a part of God's plan or purpose for his daughters, ever. Okay, so let's talk about why we are really here today. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 Women's History Month Virtual Speaker Series, presented to you by Black Speakers Network and the Speak Black Women community. I'm excited to be your host today, and I am so thankful and grateful to BSN for allowing me to be your host for this segment. As we kick off today's series, let's talk a moment about the importance of Women's History Month. This month is a time to celebrate and honor the contributions and achievements that women have made throughout history, especially powerful Black women. Most people didn't grow up seeing or hearing about the richness of our history. But through communities like BSN, we not only get a chance to hear about the contributions of powerful Black women, we get a chance to share and collaborate with other women in the chat box. How many of you know that when powerful women collaborate, some really great things happen? This month is also the opportunity to recognize the challenges that women have faced and will continue to face in our quest for equality. I've learned this about women. Our vision is our virtue. We strive for excellence. That's why I know that when powerful women collaborate, great things happen. So we are coming together today for this 2023 Women's History Month series to learn, to share, to celebrate, and to collaborate as we continue to push progress forward towards a more equitable future. This series will feature some phenomenal speakers, dropping some incredibly phenomenal nuggets. Nuggets are those golden gems of knowledge and expertise that these speakers are going to share with you on a wide range of topics that I'm sure will have you leaning into your screen. We encourage our viewers to chat it up in the chat box. I'm going to call you our chatters. I want to know where you're joining us from, which company are you associated with, and what are the takeaways and the nuggets that you are getting from these speakers. And when you receive these nuggets, I don't want you to just take them for yourself. I want you to share them with other women in your community so that we're all being empowered and we're all growing because we strive for excellence. This 2023 series was put together just for you. So with that in mind, let us hear you in the chat box. Okay, so as we say on Clubhouse when we're about to close our mic, I land my plane. But I'll be back at the end of this segment because I want to check on you. So let's get started. First, where my chatters at? I'll meet you in the chat box.
Hello, my name is Chaniera and I'm from Uncommon Women Podcast. And today I'll be speaking on the essentials of podcasting and how to monetize while doing so. Just to tell you a little bit about myself before I get into the teaching portion, I've been podcasting for over 5 years. I would say after our second year of podcasting, we were able to make over 20,000 with monetizing. Social media has a big platform for you to actually make some good money podcasting. So if you're interested in starting a podcast and you're not sure where to start and what things you need to know before podcasting, reach out to me. I'll have all my information at the end, and then we can get into how you can actually start your podcast. So there is a couple things that I want to speak about before we get into how to actually monetize. And some things that you want to think about before podcasting or actually starting a podcast is, what is your why? Why do you want a podcast? Is there something that you want to speak about and you want to get off of your chest? Is it something that you want to do that you enjoy talking and you have a hobby? Is it something that you want to do to actually help others or have a platform for others to speak on certain topics? So yes, what is your why and why do you want to start podcasting is where you want to start before actually podcasting. Another thing that you want to think about while podcasting is, are you going to be the only host on your show or are you going to have co-host? Now, the thing about having other people as a co-host on your show is you need to make sure that your schedules are aligned, that you guys are able to coordinate when it comes to when you guys are going to record. And if you guys want to have guest speakers on your show, or is it just going to be you two or three, or how many other people you have as co-hosts talk and discuss certain topics. So that's another thing that you want to think about before starting your podcast. I would say one other thing you want to think about while starting your podcast is your target audience. Who are you actually creating this show for? Is it going to be for the millennials? Is it going to be for the older crowd? Is it going to be for people that like sports? Is it going to be geared straight to men? Is it going to be geared for men and women? Is it going to be geared for married couples? So that's just a couple of things I've thrown out there for you to think about when starting your podcast is who is going to be your target audience. Now, whatever you decide to do with your show and what your target audience is going to be listening to, you do want to make sure that your show specifically bio is coinciding with each topic. So if you say that your podcast is going to be about cooking and most of your shows is about relationships, you will lose your followers in regards to that, because people are expecting your podcast to be about cooking and you're talking about something else. So that's something that you have to think about. Also, consistency. Consistency is very important when it comes to podcasting. So if you have a specific logo or colors that you do want to use with your podcast, make sure all your streaming platforms are coinciding with each other, meaning that if you have Facebook, your Facebook logo is coinciding with your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your TikTok, all those streaming platforms, YouTube, can't forget YouTube because YouTube brings us money. But make sure all your streaming platforms are coinciding with your logo and all your colors, so that when people see that logo or people see your colors, they know, hey, that's such and such podcast. So when people see my logo, they know that's the Uncommon Women podcast. So just try to be consistent with that, and try to be consistent when you're going live, if you're going to be doing live shows as well. That brings up a good point. So with podcasting, with the world revolving, when we first started podcasting, our podcast was specifically just audio. Now, with everything transitioning into live recordings, we are now audio and live. So that's something that you may want to think about. Do you want to just start your podcast with audio just to see how it goes? The good thing about audio is with you have a podcast that is audio record only, you can edit your information. So if there's something that you missed out or something that you want to update in your recording, you're more than welcome to do that. Versus if your podcast is video and you're live, if people are listening and there's something that you say, or you have a brain fart, or you just can't get your thoughts together, you're live. So it's already out there, unless you want your podcast to be raw. There is some podcasts out there that just likes raw information, and you want people to see the authentic you, and that's okay. I mean, people make mistakes. We're not perfect, So that is something to think about when it comes to podcasting, if you're going to do audio or video or even both. Now, let's get into how to make money podcasting. There is several ways out there that you can actually make money podcasting. I'm just going to be speaking on just a few due to time. So the first thing, let's get right into it. The first thing that you can do to monetize with podcasting is selling merchandise. Sell some type of merchandise that coincides with your brand. So you can sell t-shirts, you can sell hats, you can sell anything that coincides with your brand, mugs, pens, something that when they see your logo and again, consistency, when they see those colors, they know that is your podcast, that is your brand. And then you can also get ambassadors and people to actually market and monetize, bringing in other customers with marketing your brand. So having merchandise is a great way to actually make money podcasting. Another way you can do is hosting events. Now, if you do weekly events, you can host events or actually host classes to help other people that want to start podcasting. That's another way that you can start monetizing with podcasting. Myself, we actually have yearly seminars. I love myself seminars where we actually give people all over an opportunity to come to our venue. And we have a self-love seminar where women can come and share their real life stories. And then we give swag bags, we have food, and we just have a good time for people just to love on each other and uplift each other. So hosting an event is another way that you can make money podcasting. Another way is social media. There is so much money in social media. One of the ways that people are familiar with is YouTube. After you have a certain amount of subscribers and watch time, YouTube would actually cut you out a check. Depending on if you do really well with marketing and as well as your show, if you have a certain amount of people that it's called watch hours, they'll be able to send you a check monthly. You do have to apply for that once you hit over 1,000 subscribers. And let me tell you, there is definitely some good money in YouTubing. Another way that you can actually make money monetizing is TikTok and social media. And if you need a little bit more details in that, again, I will have my contact information at the end so that you can contact me in case you're interested in doing so. Let's see. Advertising businesses is another way that you can actually make money podcasting. And when I say advertising businesses, so if you decide to do live shows, you can actually have like a 30-second business or commercial ad for someone in between your show or at the end of your show. It's really up to you where you want to place their ad, and you can charge a subscription for that if they want to do it continuously, or if they just want it every once in a blue moon. You can charge like 30-second ads, or maybe a minute ad, or a weekly ad. So it's really up to you how you want to make the money when it comes to business and advertising. Another thing that I love and actually adore with podcasting when it comes to monetizing is having a Patreon membership. And for those of you that's not familiar with a Patreon membership, it's basically you're providing an exclusive access to your podcast for those people that enjoy your brand. So they would pay a monthly membership in regards to your podcast, and you would just have information on there exclusively for those people that are listening to your podcast. And I love that because it actually helps you build a deeper connection with the community and the people that are listening to your show. So if there's any information that you want to further discuss in regards to how to podcast, what equipment you need, what type of marketing you need to do with podcasting, how you get all your shows on more than one platform with one click, I'll be able to further assist you in regards to that. You're more than welcome to reach me on my website at queenchaniera.com, and then I'll be able to assist you with any questions that you have. So, like I say, there is definitely some money in podcasting. Don't be scared to start podcasting if you're interested in starting. And happy podcasting to you all.
As women, it's so easy for us to get overwhelmed by the voices of our teachers, the voices of our employers, the voices of our children, the voices of our partners, the voices of our parents, of our churches, social media. And oftentimes, our inclination and our thought is that we prioritize those voices. We prioritize helping and supporting others at points in time when we usually may need the most help or support. We prioritize elevating the voices of others instead of looking and finding opportunities to elevate our own voices and to move ourselves forward. A lot of times we've been raised to feel like in order to be of service, you have to diminish yourself so that others can be elevated. And what I'm here to tell you is that it's time for you to get out of your head and into action and quieting the voices of others so that you can hear yours and you can achieve the success that is your birthright, the success that you were put on this earth to achieve. My name is Deana Jean, and I am a business growth strategist. I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a daughter, I'm many things. But most importantly, I'm a conduit for collaboration and a conduit to help women, specifically women of color, get out of their heads and into action so that they could be able to achieve what they've been put on this earth to do. And today, I want to give you 3 really simple steps that you can take if you're watching this right now during Women's History Month and you're ready to get out of your head and into action to do something hard. For you, that hard thing may be launching a business. Maybe that hard thing is going after a promotion that you might not feel qualified for. Maybe that hard thing is shooting your shot and going back to school, or putting in the documents to purchase your first home. Whatever it is, even creating boundaries. I want to be able to help you get out of your head and into action. And I want you to know that the steps that I'm going to share with you today are not just things that come out of a book or that come out of a methodology. These are things that I have done in my life to achieve very hard things. Why? Because for so long in my life, it's been difficult for me to quiet the voices of others so that I could hear my own. And I'm excited to be able to share with you today how you can get out of your head and into action. And everything that you do starts with mindset. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to start with mindset, and we're going to reset the mindset. Before we can even get into these 3 steps, we want to start off by identifying and looking at the idea that there are 3 commitments that you have to be able to make if you truly and really are ready to get out of your head and into action. The first commitment that you have to make is that in whatever it is that you're pursuing, the idea that done is better than perfect, because perfection is just another word for procrastination. The second thing is that you have to agree with the idea that you can't make progress in a process that you don't participate in. Because in order for you to get out of your head and into action, you have to actually commit to taking one step after another every single day. And then the last one is probably, what ends up being the most difficult for myself and a lot of the women that I work with, which is actually giving yourself grace. And most importantly, extending the same grace to yourself that you extend to others. Now, just put in your mind and in your heart an idea or something that you want to get out of your head and into action on. And let's go through these 3 steps. The first step is you have to get ready, right? So here's what I want you to know. If there is an idea in your heart and your mind, there's an idea that God or the universe has given to you that you're thinking about, guess what? That actually means that you're already ready to take that thing on. But what we want to do is we want to give you some tips on how to feel ready, because you're already ready if you're thinking about it. When you're thinking about getting ready, there are two different ways that you can do that. The first way that you can get ready is to diminish fear. To diminish fear. The way that you diminish fear is by surrounding yourself with people that you trust, who have done the thing that you were looking to do. For me, when I think about diminishing fear, I think about being a breast cancer patient when I was pregnant with my daughter. I think about launching a business right in the middle of a 6-figure growing career and betting on myself to do it. The way that I was able to make myself feel ready was by surrounding myself with experts and people who had done what I was looking to do. So ask yourself, how can you start to surround yourself with people who have done what you are looking to do? The second way that you can get ready is by giving yourself no other option. When I thought about the idea of me not being here for my 2 children at the time, or not being able to bring the child that was growing inside of me into the world, I gave myself no other option but to fight. When I thought about the things that I was compromising in my 9-to-5 job and how I could stop compromising those things by reclaiming my own time, I gave myself no other option. So think about how you yourself, whatever the thing is that you're looking to do, can surround yourself with people that have done it to give you confidence and put yourself in a position where you have no other option. And then after you've gotten ready, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to fire. So a lot of times when I have this conversation with people and we talk about this, folks often say, well, Deana, I haven't heard of ready, fire, aim. I've heard of ready, aim, fire, but not ready, fire, aim. The reason that ready, fire, aim is so important to the conversation that we're having today is because what are we talking about? Getting out of your head and into action. And if you're watching this right now, you identify with this, you've probably often felt like you've put yourself in a position to constantly be aiming, constantly be getting ready. I want to teach you how to fire first, because remember, if the idea is in your head, that means it's time to take action on it. Here are the steps to creating a clear fire strategy, getting into action. This is a meat of it. The first thing is you want to be really clear on your what and your why, because those things are going to fuel you when things get really hard. When I thought about going through breast cancer treatments while pregnant with my daughter, I had to have a very clear what and a clear why when things got extremely difficult. The next thing that you have to do is you have to leverage your gifts in order to get into action. So often we focus on the things that we don't do well instead of leveraging the God-given, the natural talents that we have. So focus on your natural talents instead of the things that you don't do well. And then the things that you don't do well, you're going to actually create a firing squad. You're going to find people that do those things exceptionally well, and you're going to bring them into your tribe because you're going to be able to help them in your area of genius, and they're going to be able to help you in the areas where their genius zone is, and that's going to help you to push forward. And then what are you going to do after that? You're going to keep repeating. You're going to keep doing it over again. And that is where we get into aiming. So you're going to aim afterwards because you're going to do the thing. You're going to learn from it for your firing squad, and then you're going to do it again. Oftentimes, we're the ones that expect the perfection from ourselves, not the people that we actually want to serve. So by aiming, how do you stay in action with aiming? You're always looking for feedback from folks who you trust and who've been through what you've been through. Ways you can do that is joining a networking group or community. Always make sure that you're learning. Find opportunities to learn in the area that you want to be proficient in. And most importantly, execute often. Do the thing as often as you can possibly do it. I'm so grateful that I have had the opportunity to share with each of you today my 3-step blueprint for getting out of your head and into action. And I hope that whatever it is that you're looking to do this Women's History Month, as you're watching the stream, that you'll keep these things in mind, the 3 commitments and the 3 steps for getting out of your head and into action. And most importantly, I'd love to be able to share an opportunity with you to actually join me and my firing squad so that we can support you in getting out of your head and into action. Right there at the bottom, you see that there is a link for goals, gifts, and gaps. That is the circle, the ecosystem for me that fuels me, that keeps me moving forward, and that helps me to be able to stay in action and out of my head. I'd love to extend to you the opportunity to join us for a networking session in the month of March. If you go to goalsgiftsgaps.com and you put in the promo code BSN, that will give you a complimentary session to join us sometime in March. I hope this information has been helpful to you. So appreciative to BSN and Black Women Speak for the opportunity to have shared this with you. And I look forward to seeing you getting into action in these internet streets really soon. Have a great one.
I want to thank Quinn Connors and Brian Oles for allowing me to be on this awesome platform. I thank you for being part of Black Speakers Network. I want to tell you, have you ever got ready to do something great or just a project and a negative thought came to your mind, say, hey, you can't do that? Well, today that happened to me. This is like my 12th time trying to do this today. I've been challenged with cold. I've been challenged with technical difficulties. And thoughts came to my head to say, hey, don't do that. Just rest in the bed. You know what? Just give up. But I said I wanted to show up in greatness today. I want to tell you that today we as women are faced with so many toxic thoughts over the years. Sometimes we don't even recognize that those are toxic thoughts. I want to talk to you today about eliminating toxic thoughts and walking in inner peace. Toxic thoughts are anything that calls you not to walk in your greatness, being invincible. Yes, we are created to be invincible. And what does that simply mean? That doesn't mean we're perfect. That means that we were created with powerful substance that comes from God that calls us to overcome. That means anything that shows up in our area, on our radar, we were giving the tools and resources to overcome them. But a lot of times they are choked out of us or they are suppressed because of the toxic thoughts that come our way. Like I said before I got on, you sound like a frog. You don't need to get on. I said, well, if I got to croak my way through this, I'm going to croak my way through this and show up in a space that was created for me to be. I want to tell you, recognizing those toxic thoughts can help you have inner peace and show you how to overcome them. Don't you deserve peace? I know I do, and I love walking in my peace. You know, they say scientifically, we think 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and out of those thoughts, there are 98% negative reoccurring thoughts. So you're not alone. So if you ever get the thought, or maybe have you had the thought that says, I'm ugly, I'm too fat, I don't have the qualifications or the certifications to do what I want to do, be it start a job, get a new job. Maybe you feel that, hey, I'm not adequate as a parent. Maybe I didn't do well with my child. Maybe this is why their life turned out that way. That's a toxic thought. And you're not alone. But to wait to get around those and eliminate those toxic thoughts, you have to observe what you think. I had to observe that is a toxic thought, and I'm not going to allow it to overcome me. I have been created to be invincible, because they say life and death is in the power of our tongue. And if I don't observe my thoughts, My thoughts will overtake me, and then they'll turn into beliefs. So we have to observe what we think. Next, we have to show up in a spirit of excellence. What does that mean? Doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean things are not going to happen to me. Sometimes domino effect of things happens to us as women. You know, you get up in the morning, your back bite me hurting, or you're running late for work, or you're trying to get the kids off and they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and now you're late for work and your boss has something to say, or maybe someone moved a piece of equipment for you to work with on your home business and you can't find it. And so toxic thoughts start yelling at people and screaming at them, and today's a bad day, or it's a bad Monday. No. That inner peace, when we start showing up in our excellence, okay, it happened. Take a deep breath. We're going to find whatever it is, and we're going to do a workaround. That's showing up in excellence. Maybe you didn't get the promotion. Maybe someone did do you wrong. Maybe someone broke your heart and you're still heavy. Those are traumatic things that happen to us. But if I keep allowing those toxic thoughts to make me see that I'll never get out, and then say that I'll always be this way, then that's what I'll be. I went through that through divorce. I went through physical ailments in my body. Being an ex-soldier, veteran, will cause your body to go in the army one way and come out another way. And then with this cold, I said, no, I'm going to show up in the spirit of excellence. Excellence means that I'm going to overcome. I see myself overcoming, and then I have a plan to overcome. Be intentional about it. Be intentional when you get up in the morning. It may be Monday, but I'm glad to see this Monday. I could be in a war-torn country like Ukraine. I could be somewhere where I'm living from day to day in extreme pain and not knowing if I got medical insurance. Someone's always living better than us. And even if that is your situation, I know people who are less fortunate than me, and they get up in the morning, so intentional, and you would never know. If you talk to them on the phone or you talk to them in the streets, you would never know their situation, because they say, listen, I'm going to be intentional about overcoming. Then we have to make a conscious, confident confession of change. Confident, constant confession of change. Write that down. Because when we confess things, they happen, good or bad. Life and death, like I said, it's empowered tongue. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And that's what happens. We must change. Yes, mom may have did it that way. Dad may have did it that way. All the women that you see are doing it a certain way. But if it is getting a negative result, that's toxic. I can't help what someone does to me, but I can help what I do to me. I can love myself enough and say, these things happen to me, but my confession is I'm going to have peace all day. If you were to stay with me for a day, you'll hear me say it. My kids go, who are you talking to? I'm talking to me, and I'm convincing myself, and I have confidence to say I am changing. I will not allow this to affect me permanently. This may be my state, but this will not be my end. So I want to tell you, eliminating toxic thoughts and having inner peace, that's something that's attainable. You know, they also say that we believe 80% of what comes out of our mouth more than anything else. So confess over your life today that I am great. Confess over your life today, nothing is going to stop you. Confess over your life today, I'm letting go of every toxic thought that has come my way, because I deserve to have peace right now. I have inner peace right now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to cry. That doesn't mean my body's not going to hurt. But that does mean that I have a focal point that I'm going to work to, and I'm going to press to be great. So I thank you for your time today. You can find me at FeliceRenee.com. That's FeliceRenee.com. Grab I have some free gifts there for you. So I want you to Click on the free gifts link and you'll find them there. Also want to tell you, you can find me on social media at Felice.Renee and also Felice Renee McKenney. And I want to say thank you again to Brian Oles and Quinn Connors and all you beautiful women that have poured into us. I want to tell you that when you get off this video, those toxic thoughts are going to come. But I want you to know that your confidence and your confession says, I have inner peace. So enjoy your day and God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you out here in these social media streets. Bye for now.
What's up? Question for you. And answer honestly to yourself, no judgments here. Do you pay attention to your mental health? Answer honestly to yourself. Do you pay attention to your mental health? If you answered no, that's perfectly fine. No judgments, like I've mentioned probably about 2 times already. But I want you to stay curious throughout the rest of this presentation. If you answered yes, stay tuned for ways to mentally rejuvenate, ways that maybe you haven't thought of when it comes to taking care of your mental health. But first, before we dive in, let me introduce myself. My name is Glenda Lezeau. I am an author and mind coach, hence why I'm so curious and so interested when it comes to your mental health. If I would have asked myself that same question, do you pay attention to your mental health 15 years ago? I would have answered no. 15 years ago, I didn't pay attention to my mental health. I didn't even think of what was going on in my mind. And unfortunately, I had to go through something very traumatic for me to finally pay attention to my mind and my mental health. Let me take you back to 2011. May 2011, I graduated from UConn. Go Huskies. I was so excited to begin this new chapter. I was so excited to be a real adult with a real job. But unfortunately, months later, November 2011, I had a major psychotic breakdown. I woke up one Saturday morning filled with delusions, visual hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, paranoid thoughts, intense anxiety, and more. But the scary part is, I didn't know I was having a breakdown. Everything that I saw, felt, heard, it all felt real. I thought it was my reality. And sadly enough, everything that I saw, felt, heard were traumatic things. I mean, think of the worst things you could think of that could happen in this world. I was experiencing it. I remember that day I kept hearing a helicopter constantly throughout the day. And I was convinced that that helicopter was the FBI or CIA coming for me. I was convinced that my manager at the time was framing me for a crime that I didn't commit. And again, it all felt real. It got to the point where my parents had to call 911. I was rushed to the hospital, spent the night, but was not admitted. The next day, my parents took me to see a private psychiatrist. And the day after that, I was actually feeling better. I was feeling more like myself. I was feeling more alive. But unfortunately and sadly, I relapsed just within a few days. And this time the symptoms were worse. I mean, again, it was the hallucinations, delusional thoughts, but it was just 24/7. I couldn't even sleep. And again, it all felt so real and it was so, so scary. This time around, when I was sent to the hospital again, I was actually admitted into the psychiatric unit. And while I was there, that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar. See, the thing is, that hospitalization was my wake-up call, and I'm grateful for that. It was the moment that I recognized the importance of my mental health. It was the moment that I realized how powerful my mind can be, even though it was powerful in a negative way. And I made a pact with myself while I was hospitalized that I would do whatever it takes to go on a mental wellness journey. And the good news is 10 plus years later, that's exactly what I've been doing. Hence why I'm here talking to you about your mind and talking to you about mental health. Hence why I said I'm a mind coach. I share my story to empower people like you so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. I made the mistake of ignoring my mental health. I made a mistake of not taking care of my mental health. And I want you to recognize the importance of your mind. Because the truth is, in order for you to be the best version of yourself, your mind has to be well. So how can you mentally rejuvenate so that you can have this mental wellness? Well, I can go ahead and share so many ideas, but we would be here for hours and I don't have hours. But I want to leave you with at least something. So I'm going to share 3 ways that you can mentally rejuvenate. 1, this may sound really simple and basic, but pay attention to your mind, thoughts, and mental health. If I would have done this in 2011 or before 2011, I don't think I would have went through such a mental trauma that I've been through. But the key here is being non-judgmental and being honest with yourself. The second thing that you can do is to do something regularly that refreshes your mind, that truly rejuvenates your mind. Now, once again, I can list so many things that you can do to refresh your mind. So let me just share some of my favorites. My first favorite is walking. And if you can go ahead and walk in a park in nature, that's even better. But if you live in a city and you're not near a park, that's okay. Just walking can really ground you. You really want to refresh your mind by doing grounding practices. Another one of my favorites is meditation. Now, if you're new to meditation or if you're looking for new meditations to do, you have to check out Insight Timer. Trust me, I am not an influencer. I will not get paid if you download the app. I genuinely love Insight Timer and use it all the time. There's so many different types of meditations to choose from, all levels, whether you're a beginner or whether you are already an expert. I also would really like EFT tapping. Now, I don't have the time to explain EFT tapping, so I want you to trust me on this one. Try it if you haven't. Just YouTube it, type in EFT tapping, but give it 3 or 4 chances because it may seem a little bit weird in the beginning, but it works like magic. And I'm a little bit biased on this last one, but I have a signature letter writing activity that really could help you with your journaling, because journaling is a great way to refresh your mind. And there's so many different ways you can journal. But if you're interested in my signature letter writing activity, send me a DM or send me an email and I'll send you the steps on how you can use this activity to journal and really refresh your mind. So again, these are just some ways you can refresh your mind, some of my favorites. And the third thing that you can do to mentally rejuvenate is to seek professional help if you really feel like these grounding exercises are not helping, or as you're paying attention to your mind, you're noticing a lot of unhealthy thoughts. It's okay to, I'm about to say the T word because some of y'all don't want to hear it. It's okay to go to therapy. It really is okay. If I would have went to therapy earlier, could have avoided a lot of the trauma that I experienced mentally. I could have probably avoided such a traumatic psychotic breakdown. So don't be afraid of therapy. And if you are looking for a therapist, Psychology Today is a great place to start. So these are 3 ways that you can mentally rejuvenate. Definitely let me know which one of these truly resonate with you. I also want you to recognize that you have the birthright for mental wellness. Yes, you have the birthright for mental wellness. So I want you to mentally rejuvenate so that you can activate that birthright. Thank you so much for sharing space with me. I hope you stay in touch. Definitely follow me on Instagram, check out my website, glendalezeau.com, or shoot me an email if you have any questions or any comments based on this presentation.
Hi, I'm Helen Holton, an executive leadership coach, trainer, speaker, author, podcaster, founder of Dr. Helen Holton and Associates, and most importantly, premium member of the Black Speakers Network. Thank you, Brian Olds, Quinn Conyers, and the many others that birthed and nurture this space for speakers. I stopped by today to share a woman's perspective on women in business, women entrepreneurs, and women leaders. I'm here to celebrate women's history. How well do you know the history of women warriors and waymakers? Too often, our stories are left out, looked over, or minimized. Like Maya said in her poem, "Still I Rise," you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Black women have always had to fight for what's right. We thrive because we've learned to survive. We are the ones that must push and drive. This is our fight to keep our stories alive. As women of color at the crossroads of gender and race, too difficult to hide, it's time for us to rise up and find our voice with pride. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Did you see the movie, The Woman King, starring Viola Davis? A powerful, riveting depiction of the Agoji. The Agoji was an elite all-woman army in the West African kingdom of Dahomey. Now, I went seeing this movie. I didn't research it or anything beforehand. This was a real place and a real elite all-women army, the Agoji, today known in the country of Benin in West Africa. History documents the power of Black women as organized leaders, the warriors and waymakers we are, is not a new thing. It's been a well-kept secret thing. Women as leaders is an undeniable truth. We are Nubian warriors and waymakers that pave paths for women to lead, to weave a better world, a more inclusive, diverse, and equitable one where we all belong. Women warriors and waymakers have been paving paths to bring us to a place where we no longer deny our power, strength, and leadership success as Black women. It was Naniska, Viola's character in the movie, portrayed in Technicolor what it looks like when a woman leads as a warrior and waymaker. And she did both those things in the film. Now, if you've not seen it, check it out. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a history lesson by way of Hollywood. However, there is much truth to the story. It reminds me of the legend of the Sankofa bird that looks backwards to move forward. Good stuff. Naniska was a leader. She was a servant leader. She knew her mission was bigger than herself. Leadership is a conscious choice, a choice you make daily. If you're a woman in business or an entrepreneur, you are a leader, a warrior, a waymaker. Let's break down the word warrior. Merriam-Webster tells us a warrior is a person engaged in some struggle or conflict. Whew. Okay, did that hit a chord with you? I sure felt it. Have you overcome some struggles and conflicts along your journey of leadership? Let me share some things I've learned that may be of interest to you. Women leaders lead best when you use three skills. Say that 3 times real fast. When you make them a practice and part of your life. Number 1, the ability to leverage your strengths, not just your physical strength, but your behavioral strengths, who you are at your best by nature and nurture. What are some of the ways of being that come most naturally to you? When I was a little girl, I had a knack for remembering numbers, phone numbers, house numbers, birthday numbers. Today, I know my full driver's license number without having to look at my license. When you identify your natural talents and abilities and make time to invest in them, it increases your leadership capability. How do you find out about yourself? Take an assessment. Now, not just any assessment, and there are tons of them out here. You want to take one that's reliable and verifiable as to the validity of the instrument. There are quite a few out there. If you ever really want to know, reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, social media, somewhere. Find me, LinkedIn, Dr. Helen Holton. Number 2 of the 3, build your resilience. Resilience isn't something we're born with. It's something you build throughout your life. What does resilience do for you? I'm so glad you asked. Resilience is your ability to persevere and push through disruptions, distractions, and detours. Here's the distinction. You can use resilience and not be consciously aware when you're doing it. As a woman in business, have you ever had something happen that made you feel like the rug had been pulled out from under you? And you bounce back, you regroup and keep moving forward. That's resilience. It's a bigger game changer when you consciously build it. It keeps you from falling too deep and helps you get back up swifter and get back in the game of being a leader. When Naniska faced defeat, she was able to pivot, shift, and regroup to come back another day for battle. Because the struggle is real, no doubt. Building resilience is not a one and done. It's a lifelong practice that helps you smooth out the rough spots along your leadership journey. Number 3, navigate weaknesses. Okay, leaders, here's the real deal about weaknesses. We all have them. There, it's out in the open. Now get over it. Your weaknesses serve no other purpose than to get in your way of success. Plain and simple. None of us are good at everything. And the sooner you begin to really invest in you and develop yourself through the best of who you are, then you're in a better position to identify your weaknesses and learn to navigate them away from interrupting your path forward. Leadership is what I know, sleep, eat, and breathe every day. And when you make that conscious choice to choose leadership, it'll take up residence and live within you. It'll inspire you to go the extra mile, to make a difference. In studying leadership through the lens of a woman, this is what I've learned. 3 skills: leveraging your strengths, building resilience, and navigating weaknesses will lead you on a path to more success, less stress, and greater joy in your life. Isn't that what you really want at the end of the day? When you know your history, you're in a space to focus on ways to cultivate, curate, and stir up the collective spirit of women everywhere. The spirit of women leaders like Esther, Ruth, and Lydia in the Bible. To study the legacy of women like Harriet, Sojourner, and Maya. To appreciate the living overcomers like Oprah, Serena, and Lezeau. Are you experiencing a growth explosion in pursuit of your dreams, passion, purpose, and calling? My sisters and brothers, this is your Women's History Moment. As a woman leader, keep this in mind. You're making history every month, every day, and every minute somewhere in the world, and it's shaping your legacy. Each and every one of us will leave a legacy of some sort, and you're creating it right now, spending time here with me. We will all leave a legacy. The question is, what kind of legacy are you building? It's the gift you'll leave to future generations. Will it be a blessing or a burden? The choice is up to you. I'm Dr. Helen Holton. I work with leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, and emerging, those leaders on the rise with high potential to make the conscious choice of leadership. As my grandma used to say, the up and comings, you know who you are. My sweet spot working is with women leaders, women in business, women entrepreneurs, and women on the rise. I hope this Women's History Moment blessed you. Thank you, Black Speakers Network, with a special shout out to Brian Oles and Quinn Connors for the vision, faith, and fortitude that you have brought to speakers.
What up, what up, what up, Jen? Checking in. How you living? How you feel? Yes, for Women's History Month, you guys. I am ecstatic, especially as a Black woman, because we just had Black History Month. So I get the opportunity to celebrate again. But you know what, ladies? We should celebrate ourselves year-round, okay? Operating from the love in you. We got to operate out of love, you got in love, out of love, you know. We are some amazing beings. How many of y'all on your jobs right now? You are the glue. You are the seam that makes everything connect, but you don't feel appreciated. You feel like something's in the back of your mind saying, hey, I got something bigger for you. You wake up every day, you looking up at the ceiling, you go to sleep that way too. And you looking up, you're like, God, it's got to be something bigger for me. Ask me how I know, because I've been there. I remember the prayers at night like, God, this can't be it. This can't be. I just know you got something else for me. You gave me talents. You gave me gifts. But I'm going to go into this job tomorrow. And I'm going to work my hardest. I'm going to go above and beyond. Yes. Working in the spirit of excellence. But knowing this cannot be the end all be all. He gives us all a dream. Whether you want to be a speaker, a singer, a rapper, an artist, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it may be, he gives you something for you to be passionate about. Now, what happens along the way from that dream? What happens in translation? How do we get lost? We get lost in the ways of the world, right? We get lost in relationships that aren't for us, right? No matter what kind of relationship that is, friend, family, situationships, yeah, those too, right? Situationship is where I'm in this situation. I don't know how to get out. I'm uncomfortable. I don't really like it. I don't want to be here. But you know what? I am comfortable because I'm used to the day-to-day, and this is what I do. And so you're like, why am I going to leave? I've been in this relationship with this man for 15, 20 years. He ain't married me yet. But you know what? It's all good. And guess what? You take that same stagnant thing into your job, into your business. It becomes just a thing. that you do? Who benefits? Is it you? It becomes a cycle, a pattern, just the everyday routine. Where is the love? You know, I saw where someone said, hey, after 6 to 12 months, you know, especially if you're getting engaged, it's time to go ahead and walk down the aisle, okay? You know, oftentimes I see so many women get to 20, 30, 40 years to the man that they, you know, I get the whole marriage by state after so long, but there's no benefits. And then what did you do in the meantime? Did you live out the dream, the vision that God had for you? Or did you allow the same thing to happen in that relationship as just life tagging you along? Your jobs, you guys. The jobs. Now, I had a conversation with myself a few years ago, and I said, right now, if I was to walk away, they'd have somebody else in my seat tomorrow, if not by the end of the day. I said, I'm hurting myself mentally, spiritually, and physically because I was overweight, having chest pains, heart pains, head pains, all type of pains. And I said, I think I'm worth more. I said, God, has got to be more. Show me more. And I had to do some growth and some healing and find out what this thing is called self-love. To find out that these people don't love me. I love me. And you know what? I love myself enough not to settle because God has given me gifts. He's given me talents. And I always pray the prayer of Jabez. Lord, expand my territory for me and my children. While I don't have children, now you prepare for where you see yourself at. So ladies, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself truly working that job for the rest of your life to retirement? Or do you see something in your mind's eye that says purpose, 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 destiny, destiny, destiny? I ordained you for this. I designed you for this. You've done your time here. I need you over there. See, I'm a creative. So working a regular job for me boxes me in. Working a regular job for me says I'm limited. How so when God made us limitless? When you have a vision or a dream, what we see is just a little teeny piece. He can't show us all. He can't show us everything because we'll find a way to sabotage it, right? How do we sabotage it? By not loving ourselves enough to say that we deserve it to achieve whatever it is for you. First key, being honest with yourself. Where you are in your life right now, is it really where you want to be? Are you satisfied with the person that you are right now? Are you satisfied with the situation that you're in right now? Are you satisfied with the relationships you have right now? Are you satisfied with you? Do you love you enough to be real with you? Second, the voice within. What are you speaking to yourself every day? Whatever you're speaking to yourself is the reason why you're getting it from out here. If you're not speaking love, tenderness, being kind to you, speaking peace, positivity to you. When you go into your business, guess what you're giving out to your employees? If you're a business owner, if you're an employee, you end up with this. You can't figure out why you keep getting these bosses, these managers that talk to you crazy. You talk to you crazy. Listen to the self-talk sometimes and then listen, play back in your mind. I have a thing where it's like a tape recorder in my mind. So some things may take me a minute. I may come back to it maybe 30 minutes or an hour later or a day later. It may take me a midnight to replay it. I'm like, did they just say that to me? Did I just say that? You know what? I need to go back and apologize. Sometimes I need to go back and apologize to myself. Like, I'm sorry, Jen. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. I will never put you in that type of situation again. Really, I'm serious. Forgive me. Okay? And sometimes it's a heart talk. Your voice is the most important voice that you're ever going to hear. You hear God's voice. Now, about that, it may be muffled out. It just may be muffled out. If you're not paying attention and you're letting the other voices overshadow him, right? Self-love is the best love. And God always operates out of love. How you communicate with him is your communication every day. Is it some timing, so often? That also affects your self-love journey and how you operate and everything else you do. So remember this. Self-love is the best love. Be honest with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be the voice you always needed. You are the key. You are the one who can help you operate out of the best you that you can be.
Hi, welcome. My name is Lanee Bradshaw of Law Luminary. I am a mental wellness advocate and a self-development entrepreneur and creator. So today's topic, the agenda at hand is why mental wellness is the ultimate life goals and the consequences of an ill society. Why is mental wellness important? Why should we be looking into it more? I would like to start off by focusing just on some of the things I have come to research. So millennials have a very interesting backstory, with the introduction of all this new technology, the education for millennials, globalization, attitudes towards work and careers have changed over the last decade. So a lot of these things impact us as a society. Here are the facts. So the growth of the wellness industry has taken off monumentally in the last decade. And this is due to the impact that stress and anxiety has over productivity. While just in the last couple of years alone, the increased fields of anxiety and depression in the workforce alone has caused industries to lose over $200 billion annually. $200 billion. And living in a post-2020 world, we're starting to see increases of people who are suffering from depression, anxiety, suicides, and things like that, especially for young people. 1 out of 6 adults between 18 and 25 experience some sort of mental illness, and that's a very early start. This is basically something that happens each year. So mental health in the workplace, there was a survey of over 1,000 employees done. It was found that 70% of the employees experienced distress while at work. And this is not uncommon. Why is it like this? What can we do to remedy these things? Well, There was a survey done in 2019 by APA that said 63% of employees experience symptoms of anxiety and depression. And 37% felt guilt and shame because of it. So not only are we experiencing these feelings, we're also very reluctant to talk about them, especially in certain communities where these things are prevalent. We just give it another name. We cope, we ignore, we try to do everything we can ourselves, self-medicating. This could be the introduction of alcohol, drugs, any form of escapism to keep, some of the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis at bay. And this makes a lot of sense. And then there's another percentage, 30%, that can't even afford healthcare to address these issues. So that's something else to look into. But fortunately, I had a thought about this. And I asked myself, okay, so let's take it back. Let's take it back to where this possible issue could have occurred. I mean, stress and anxiety is a part of what it means to live in a world that's always bustling, that's always hustling, that's always grinding. And then it came to me, I was like, oh, the hustle and grind culture. Why are we always hustling? Why are we always grinding? Why are we always feeling like we have to be somewhere, like we have to get somewhere, like we have to become someone, to something, to somehow, right? There's all these feelings and these emotions around being productive member of society, which is not a bad thing, but everything has to be balanced. Everything has to come in a way that is not only productive to the individual, but also very nurturing. So that is why the wellness industry has increased as much as it has in the last couple of years. Going on retreats, taking a sabbatical, moving to calmer areas, leaving for a while to get your thoughts together, aka wellness retreats, eco retreats. They have all kinds of things. Some companies have even introduced wellness programs, and employees have reported that those wellness programs are very useful, that they increase productivity and they reduce turnover in their role. But let's take a look. What is the consequences of not taking care of a society's mental illness? You have a decreased quality of life, decreased productivity and economic growth, and, the increased healthcare costs because everyone is suffering. Everyone needs help. Everyone needs aid. And these are things that we need to look for when we're talking about how to address this problem as a whole. I also would implore everyone to start doing things like resilience, building resilience, because the more mentally strong and mentally sturdy you are, the easier it will be to go through life's challenges. Self-care is also very important. I talk about self-care a lot in the work that I do with people. So it's very important that you take the time out to really address if you are suffering. Because sometimes you'll have symptoms of depression or anxiety and you'll just think, oh, well, this is me on a day-to-day, right? Maybe I'm overeating. Maybe I don't feel like getting up. And the worst thing in the world for a lot of people, especially a lot of young adults, is, oh, I have to get up and go to this place I don't really want to be because I don't feel good about myself. So with that, we have to really, really pay attention. And so on a global aspect, 1 in 4 people, according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 people are affected globally by mental illness. And that's in any form: depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, things like that. And only 1 in 6 of them get medical care for it. So, and then on a global scale, 63% feel ashamed and guilt. So where is this culture, this stigma of knowing when you need to get help when you're suffering? Because some people think that, okay, so there are two things to be aware of: the mental body and the physical body. They say that emotional wounds take a lot longer to heal from than physical wounds, which is true, because we don't pay attention to our emotional wounds as much as we do our physical wounds. And unfortunately, that shouldn't be like that. So what people should start doing is investing more in their mental health. And we need to erase the stigma that there's something wrong with you if you feel this way, that you won't get support if you feel like you may be dealing with depression or sadness or anything like that. Talk to your health professionals, or just have someone that you have around you to support you. Workplace interactions are very, very important. Like, what type of culture is the workplace you are working in? And we have to really, as an employer, you have to really think about what's important, like what increases the productivity of your workers. Is it the bottom line at the end of the day, or is it the mental health of your employees? And we need to really focus on integrating more mental health into primary care. It shouldn't be something that's separate and away from the primary care you get when you go to a physician. It should be integrated. And there have been, evidence-based studies to prove that when you have taken the proper preparations to take care of your mental health, it does increase your quality of life. It does increase your productivity. It does reduce anxiety. It does reduce depression. And overall, these things lead to a better and more productive society. And with that being said, my name is Lanee Bradshaw. You can find me on laluminary.co and also on Instagram at Lanee the Advisor. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Monica O. Bogar, better known as Mo Bogar, the owner of M.O. Bogar HR consulting firm. My tagline is, there's always room for more. As a woman entrepreneur, I know what it's like to be told to do one thing at a time. It's not true, nor is it necessary. I'm going to provide you with 5 tips to keep in mind every time somebody tells you to do one thing at a time. The first point: never listen to other people. They're not in your head. They're not in your spirit. Their dream and their purpose is not yours. Don't allow other people to project their negativities, their fears, and their level of confusion onto you simply because you're a woman entrepreneur or just a woman, period. Second point: know your purpose and absorb your purpose. Nothing or no one can tell you what to be purposeful about. It's a dream. It's something that's put in your spirit. Yes, there can be more than one. Who says there has to be one purpose? Society does. You know why? It's your gender. They think women can only do one thing at a time. Wrong. If you look at our communities and our society, women do multiple things all the time. So as a woman entrepreneur, focus on your purposes, as many as you may have. Point 3, you have to have boundaries in place, especially as a woman entrepreneur. People will take your kindness for weakness, and they will again project their negativities and their negative thoughts and their fears onto you. You have the right to pursue as many goals as you want. My tagline is, there's always room for more. You know why? Because I put in place boundaries that told me I could do whatever I wanted to do. Yes, people will continue to talk. People have the right to say what they think. As an entrepreneur, you can pursue as many goals as you want to. No one can tell you what your purpose is. No one can tell you what your dreams are. As a woman, people tend to tell you that you should focus on one thing, and they tell you what to focus on. That's not their right. Put those boundaries in place to stop and limit that type of conversation. Number 4, and I think one of the most important points to even bring up, your spiritual connection. Spiritual connection is in your personal life as well as your professional life. As an entrepreneur, it's very important that you stay connected spiritually, even in your business and your personal life. As women, majority of people think that you're naturally connected spiritually to individuals and to focus and to purpose when it comes to business. That's not the case. You have to be very, very intentional when you're focusing spiritually to develop yourself, to make you one of the key people that society goes to as a woman entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship can be very, very difficult. You will see trials and tribulations that you've never seen in your life. But one of the main things that keeps you grounded and focused and successful is your spiritual connection. I didn't say religion. I said spiritual connection. That's something you have to determine that's important and what that looks like. Don't allow other people and other society groups to tell you what you should focus on spiritually. It's definitely a key point that you need to keep in mind when you focus on your business and your personal life. It will allow you to bring in balance, and you have to be a balanced person to be a successful business person and a successful woman. There are so many points that I could give you, but these are the 5 points that have really helped me to define my own success. The 5th point is to never give up. Never let people define what your purpose and goals are. Never quit because it doesn't work the first time, the third time, or the 2000th time, or the first time, or the second time, or even more than that. Don't let society define when you're supposed to stop or tell you when you're supposed to stop. You know when you're supposed to stop going after your goal and purpose? Never. Let's repeat that. Never. That's the 5th point that I have for you. That's the most important point when it comes to you determining what your goals and life looks like for you as a woman entrepreneur. You are an amazing person that happens to be a woman. Society wants to make it where you are actually a weaker link when it comes to business, when it comes to goals, when it comes to pursuing anything in life. That's not true. If you own that, you make it true. Never stop pursuing your purpose. Another point that you need to remember is there's nothing that says you only have one purpose. There's nothing that says you only have one goal. Let me tell you a little bit about me. There's only room for more. My tagline. My tagline is actually applied to several different businesses that I own. I'm an author. I'm a co-author. I'm a basket designer. I'm a public speaker. I'm a CEO of several businesses. I am a jazz artist. You get my point? You have permission to do whatever God gives you to do, or your spiritual focus. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't let other people define your boundaries for you. Keep in your mind and heart what your purpose is. Pursue your purpose. You don't know what your purpose is, that's fine. You have the right to figure it out, but don't listen to other people and let them define and tell you what your boundaries are. Tell you what you can and cannot do when it comes to pursuing your goals and your beliefs. You have to have in place balance. Spiritual focus is your balance. These 5 points are points that I hope will allow you to focus and to think through your boundaries and think through the things that people say and remind you to look in the mirror and say, this is not something that's going to limit me or stop me. There's always room for more. I gave you an example of the things that I have in my heart and dreams that I've actually pursued and still do to this day. I first told individuals that were non-women gendered that I was going to put this title as my tagline. They laughed at me. They said, first of all, that's too much. That shows you're undisciplined. That shows you're not detailed. That shows that you are taking on anything that you come across instead of pursuing the things that are for you. I think you should do one thing at a time. That's not true. I am pursuing everything that's on my heart and spirit and in my purpose. My purpose is to be honest and transparent with women entrepreneurs and let them know that it can be done. You have the right to pursue what you're called to do. And there's nothing and nobody else that can change that. You have to make up your mind that this is what I'm going to do. Everything that's put in front of me, everything that I want to pursue, no matter what anybody else says. The goals that are put in front of me are my goals. They are goals that spiritually have been appointed to me. I'm a woman entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur first that happens to be a woman. And remember, there's always room for more.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Monique Pearson. I am a Department of Defense employee by day and the owner and founder of Soaring Without Limits Enterprises, affectionately known as SWOL by night. And I wanted to share a story with you. It all began in April 2019 during the early onset of the pandemic. And as we all know, we were pretty much confined to our homes. And at that time, I was living in an Airbnb waiting for my home to be constructed. So having over 20 plus hours in one place definitely gives you a lot of time to contemplate, to think, and look over your life and put things into perspective. And you want to know what I realized? I realized that I was not fulfilled and I was not living and operating in my God-given purpose at that time. And I made a decision that that was no longer acceptable. Working a job to pay bills because I had to versus doing something that I can jump up to and be excited about every morning and that I loved. How many of you resonate with that? So I want to share with you some actionable steps and measures that I use to be able to get started on my entrepreneur journey that may be helpful to you that want to start a business but may not have started taking those steps to get started in doing so. So the first thing that I sought out, and which I definitely recommend, is mentorship. There is nothing like having someone in your corner who is going to be there to root you on and to help you make sure that you reach your goals and objectives. It's just like a baby taking their first steps. First, they start out crawling, then they learn how to eventually walk, and then they're on their way to running. So that's what a mentor can do for you, to make sure that you're setting the accurate pace to meet your goals, to meet your objectives as it comes to starting that business. And some free resources, that's right, I said free, are available out there, and I definitely use them and still using them to this day to help grow my business. And then for you, it could be to get you started. One is called SCORE. It is an organization underneath the umbrella of the Small Business Administration. And what they do is pair you with an expert in your respective career field of interest when starting your business. And some things that they can help you with is, one, a business plan, getting started making one. They also offer free webinars and training that you can use to give you more insight into this. They can also offer and point you in the right direction as far as legal advice is how to set up the entity of your business, whether it's going to be an LLC or an S corp, for example. Which one will be more advantageous to you depending on the type of business that you're looking into getting started. And what they can also do is also offer numerous services as far as looking at your marketing and looking at areas of improvement and helping you get started on what should be on your website. And it can go on and on. And again, let me remind you that this is free, so definitely take advantage. Another resource that you can use is ACP. Mentoring service. And this one in particular is applicable to veterans or active duty service members who may be on their way to transitioning back into civilian life. For those who have served, sometimes it's often difficult to translate all of that military experience into terms that are in alignment with a civilian job. So they can assist you with that. Whether you're looking to go back into corporate America, or if you're looking, as we're speaking to, starting your own business, they also will assign you a mentor in your respective career field of interest that can help you on your marketing plan. And then they can just look at some things and answer questions to avoid you from going down pitfalls as starting as a new entrepreneur that you can avoid. Just having that person in your corner to be able to bounce ideas off of and to go through for professional advice, because they have already been here, they've done that, and they've walked that path, so they can help you avoid some common mistakes that new entrepreneurs may make. And again, as I told you before, this is a free resource, so definitely take advantage of it. The next recommendation that I would share is to invest in a professional business coach. There is no greater return on investment than the one that you get when you invest in yourself. It is priceless. And also it pays off dividends when it comes to laying the foundation to make sure that you have a solid foundation when it comes to your business. I can relate it to football. And as you look at it as far as a quarterback's job is to get his team down the field to reach the end goal, which is getting into the end zone. And that's exactly what a professional business coach will do for you. They will make sure that you are making forward momentum and progress, and making sure that you're meeting your goals as it pertains to your business and holding you accountable into doing so. So it's nothing like having someone hold your hand to be able to be that safe place for you to go to and seek guidance versus walking blindly on a new path that you have never journeyed into before. It is vastly different being an employee versus being your own boss. And you definitely have to have that adjustment in mindset, action, deed. We cannot give more to an employee to help them build their dreams than we do to build ourselves. So definitely that's another thing I must chime in as far as allocating your time appropriately. If you're still working and building your business on the side, you definitely have to make sure there's time management skills in place so that you do not sell yourself short, that you are not helping that job to build their empire and letting yours crumble. And lastly, I just want to leave with you words of encouragement that delayed does not mean denied. You could have had this dream in the pit of your stomach and your heart for years and have yet to take actionable steps. It doesn't matter. There is no time like the present to get started in that dream that you have always dreamed of. All you have to do is make a decision that today is the day that you are going to bring to birth that baby that has been sitting and resting inside of you, not only for yourself, for your family, for your legacy, but for those who you are the answer to their prayers, that they are waiting for you to step out, step forth, and let what only you can offer to the market be offered and come to fruition. So I definitely enjoyed speaking with you today. I look forward to connecting with you all, and go forth and do big things.
Hello, and welcome to Caretaking for the Nurturing Spirit. My name is Tana Purnell, and I am a licensed clinical therapist, hypnotherapist, and self-care coach. Over the years, I have worked with many people, especially women, who have found themselves in the role of nurturer or caretaker. For the purpose of this video, I will be using the words caretaker and nurturer to describe the same personality type. A caretaker or nurturer is someone who sacrifices their personal needs, time, and energy for the purpose of taking care of someone else. Sometimes the caretaker role is chosen. For example, parents, teachers, medical and clinical practitioners, first responders, and social workers are all experiences where people have typically elected to take care of others. Other times, this role of caretaker is placed upon people or inherited, such as when one unexpectedly finds themselves taking care of an aging or ill family member, or when their job requires them to shoulder more responsibility than they were prepared to carry. This can even happen as the result of poor boundaries. There is often a common experience, no matter how the caretaker role came to be, and that is that caretakers and nurturers repeatedly place the needs of others before their own time and time again, sometimes voluntarily and sometimes not. Now, society loves a caretaker. When they are recognized, they are seen as selfless, honorable, and even aspirational people. And in many ways they are. Indeed, most of us have needed or have benefited from a caretaker at least once in our lives. So many caretakers continue self-sacrificial behaviors and patterns for several reasons. Sometimes it is because the outward validation and recognition they receive from others feels so very good. Many may even continue prioritizing others' needs above their own without any acknowledgement or positive feedback, because there is either an expectation from family or community members that they will take care of others, or because they feel obligated out of guilt to take on the responsibility of caretaking. Lastly, sometimes people find themselves in these caretaking roles because of their inability to create healthy boundaries by saying no or expressing when they already feel too overwhelmed by life to accept additional work or obligations. A while back, I spoke at a workshop about a phenomenon known as hurried woman syndrome. This caretaking experience was named by Dr. Brent Boast, an OBGYN from Texas. He noticed that many of his patients were experiencing a kind of pre-depression. Most of these patients had young children and or other responsibilities in and outside of their homes. He noted that his patients were experiencing unexplained weight gain, low energy, irritability, and other shared negative symptoms. Dr. Boast deduced that all of the women with these symptoms were experiencing chronic, overwhelming stress from one or more sources. Some of these sources of stress could be directly attributed to caretaking. Taking care of children, taking care of aging or sick family, even working in caretaking careers, and maintaining intimate partnerships that require a high level of nurturing. Additionally, over time, the repeated self-sacrifice has even more negative consequences for the caretaker and even for the person for whom they're caring. For example, feelings of resentment may arise. there could be a decline in mental and physical wellness, as well as a possible increase in incidence of abuse by the caretaker or the individual under care. There also could be the development of more chronic and severe mental illnesses like major depressive disorder and anxiety. So what is the solution? One very effective solution is implementing radical self-care, unapologetic self-care, and consistent self-care. And self-care can look like many things, but I am specifically referring to engaging in self-care behavior and activities that clearly place the caretaking individual as priority number one for a specific moment in time. For example, exercising the right to say no is an act of radical and unapologetic self-care. Even scheduling downtime in one's schedule is an act of deliberate self-care. I am referring to self-care that is a consistent and non-negotiable part of one's day, week, or month. It is important to use self-care as a preventative measure to mental and physical disease and disorder, rather than only as a response to burnout and irritability. Now, this topic is very near and dear to me because I absolutely consider myself a nurturer by nature and within my career. Counseling and coaching and teaching are rewarding jobs. I truly enjoy helping others to reach their goals, have more confidence in themselves and their decisions, and to heal from devastating and difficult experiences. But as rewarding as those roles are, it has been equally exhaustive at times. And not because of the clients or patients, but all of the other aspects that come with these jobs. Counselors and coaches, and even sometimes teachers, advocate for others' needs daily, hold space for the pain of others, all while muting their own personal pain and challenges. And although self-care is addressed in clinical programs, the reality of most counseling jobs, long hours, high-risk cases, low emotions, and sometimes dangerous situations, can prohibit true and consistent self-care. And although this experience is normal, it should never be seen as acceptable. And this experience is not unique to coaches or counselors. So over the years, after burning out multiple times and being so stressed that I incurred physical consequences, I have had to learn how to implement self-care strategies to keep myself as healthy as possible so that I can continue to help others. Thank you so much for your time. I truly hope that this video will help someone make themselves a priority today. If you'd like to learn more about the importance of self-care and how to properly implement self-care, please contact me at tpurnell.therapy@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care and be well.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tara Hines McCoy, founder of Dr. Tara Speaks. I remember when I entered corporate America, bright-eyed, not bushy-tailed, but ready to take on all that corporate America had to offer, an educated African-American woman like me. I worked my way through the spaces of manufacturing and distribution and into the reins of corporate offices. Yes, I was my ancestors' wildest dreams. To sit in the boardrooms and to walk in the hallways and earn the salaries they had only dreamed of. Then, one day, as a human resources professional of 15 years, I realized I had become immune to strong conversations. Yes, they are all different, but their outcomes have a recurring theme of either behavior or performance, which many times leads to the separation from an organization. I have had the opportunity to work for Fortune 500 companies that fortunately had great leaders of all races. Unfortunately, they also had leaders specifically for me, Black women who had not shown care and concern for other Black women. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, co-signing with leaders who had limited insight into the behaviors or performance of team members, specifically Black women, undermines the obstacles that women have overcome within their gender and racial community. I know this because this unseen barrier caught me off guard. My HR journey was robust. For that reason, it has been clear that I possess the qualities and experiences of a leader. However, having experiences from other corporations was not enough for me as a woman or a Black woman in corporate America. The reality is that perseverance through formal education and corporate training can be threatened by one leader who does not see you for the value you bring. Throughout the history of women, we hear stories of roadblocks initiated by our white counterparts and leaders. However, the conversations that we are not having are the roadblocks initiated by people who look like us. Yes, Black roadblocks exist. And if you are a leader, the question I must ask is, are you creating a roadblock, or for those who are coming behind you, or are you moving the roadblocks to ensure more people who look like you join you at the table? We say there's room for everyone, but do you believe it? And do you advocate for it? You see, the thing about tables is that they come in different sizes. This limits the number of people who can sit there. Yes, you can pull up a chair to join the conversation, but you may have to squeeze in. However, if you are invited to a table, a seat is waiting for you, or space is made available. There's a difference. So yes, I am here during Women's History Month, a mother, a daughter of a middle-class family with educated parents and grandparents. I stand as an advocate for women. As women, many times we enter into an organization and we start to assess the lack of diversity and equity, but not from the lens of inclusion of our own race. You see, once many of us make it to that sweet spot, whatever that is for you, we somehow isolate and separate ourselves from those in the roles in which our own careers began. Instead of sharing the experiences and missteps and failures, we barely acknowledge one another and instead stalk their LinkedIn profile to understand what the assumed competition is bringing to the organization. The reality is there's no competition. As women, we are all designed to bring and to add value in our own way. And if you can't find your way or you get lost on the path of least resistance, who can you confide in if not a leader who looks like you? Instead of excluding, let's include by bringing everyone into the conversation. As we enter the doors of organizations, are we sharing the unwritten rules of engagement, or are we choosing to disengage as if that's the new proposal for engagement? Are you being promoted because you are pushing or softly throwing women who look like you under the bus? Or are you driving the bus but being selective of the stops you make or conversations you have on the way to your next destination? You see, diversity, equity, and inclusion many times are not built into the pillars of the organization. The organization grows into the DEI space. As women are now exiting corporate America, many of our children are now walking through the doors. Are they being welcomed with a new sense of engagement or inclusion, or with the same Black roadblocks you left behind for those who came after you? You see, roadblocks and racism are interesting creatures that when it is presented in such a clear light, They're unexpected and they can slide right over your head. As you trek along in life, the smallest or biggest milestones and accomplishments somehow will do a 360-degree turn back to the day and time you were faced with a roadblock. That is when you know for sure that you too have come face to face with some form of unacceptance, whether that's a microaggression or racial hostility, shadeism, like many women in history experienced before us. Roadblocks can create doubt, lack of confidence, and uneasiness for no logical reasons. Besides, you're always trying to ensure you are as good or better than the next athlete, student, or colleague. The reality is, what if diversity, equity, and inclusion were synonymous with a smile, a thank you, or welcome? Would we really recognize it as such? You see, diversity, equity, inclusion are necessary and should be visible where you work. It should be topics we discuss. It should be behaviors we deploy. In the same way we as Black people accuse white Americans of throwing us under the bus, not supporting us in corporate America or any industry. The truth of the matter is we as women also create and add roadblocks for one another within our own race. Just as women's groups and historians lobbied for Women's History Week in the 1980s, we still stand here today simply expecting to be held to the same standards as men, while seeking the inclusion of our white counterparts and within our own race. In the end, being a woman, mother, daughter, and leader in corporate America is a different experience for being a Black woman who's also a mother, daughter, and leader in corporate America. In both, this means having to prove your worth or show you have a strategic arm to be invited to or even to stay at the table. Women, more times than none, Black women, are still being tasked with finding and creating their own path of development, then being discounted for promotion. This approach will only shift if the following occurs. Women bring each other along versus creating roadblocks. Corporate America must change the trajectory of what diversity, inclusion, and equity looks like in an organization. This will ensure diversity is reflected within the organization to support inclusive practices. Also, hiring leaders who respect and value the opinions of women, especially women of color. All of these are pertinent for change. This will aid in changing the experiences women and Black women have in the workplace. Black roadblocks are real. Roadblocks for women are also real. I leave you with this. Are you the roadblock?
Hi, I'm Dr. Teresa Fuller. I'm an integrative holistic pediatrician. As a pediatrician, I'm always concerned about the health of our children. But their health doesn't start with them. It doesn't start with them. It starts with you. The mothers, the aunties, the grandmothers, those of you who are invested in their well-being. So today, I want to talk to you about something we don't hear enough about, and that is generational wellness. Generational wellness. And we hear a lot about generational wealth. We aspire to it. That is accumulating financial assets that we can pass on to our children and our grandchildren. Well, did you know that the same applies to health assets? How can that be? Well, let me get technical just for a moment. There's a phenomenon called epigenetics. Now, we know about genetics, where we pass on our genes from one generation to the next, but epigenetics is information that is laid on top of your genes that determine whether or not certain genes get turned on or off. That means, for example, that you can have the genes for obesity, but things in your internal and external environment, such as the foods you eat, or the pollutants in the air, or even the stress that you're exposed to, can determine whether those genes are ever expressed. And here's the thing. This epigenetic information travels along with your genes to the next generation and the next after that. What's exciting about that is that it means that you and I have a great deal of control over our health picture and that of future generations, which I like to call the generations of you. Those epigenetic changes are still being written, even in the early years of your child's life, depending on the environmental factors that they're exposed to. So it's practically never too late to start a heritage of generational wellness. So what do I really want you to get from this? It means that investing in your health is not selfish. In fact, your self-investment in your health is a precious gift that you can pass on to your children just like stocks and bonds. So what I want to give you today are three things you can do really that will get you on your journey to optimal health, to incredible health. I call them the 3 W's of generational wellness. The first W is your why, or your want to. Now, if you're going to make any significant changes in any area of your life, health included, you have to have a compelling why. What does it mean to be healthy anyway? Peter McWilliams, I like the way he put it. He said, health is more than lack of disease. Health is aliveness, energy, and joy. Health is not just about the body, but it's about the mind, about the emotions, about the whole person. So while I just gave you a very compelling reason to invest in your health, and that is how you can affect the next generation at the very level of their DNA, I actually want you to make it more personal. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to get your diabetes under control? I mean, if you didn't feel so much pain all the time, if you didn't feel so much fatigue, what would that mean for you? Maybe you want to have more of that aliveness and energy and joy because it would allow you to go out there and do some things that are on your bucket list. If you could just close your eyes and envision a new, healthy, vibrant, energetic, confident self, what would that do for you? Make it concrete. Write it down like a vision board. As I look around my room, I see my sticky notes on the walls that I plaster my walls with that keep reminding me of my why, that keep motivating me to my why. It will motivate you as you go through the next step, which is the what. The what is, what do I need to actually do to change my health outlook? When I do workshops, I take people through 12 specific whats, or 12 habits, to incorporate in order to get to that, what I call incredible health. Now, these are simple habits because if you take one simple step at a time, you'll almost seamlessly make it to your health goals. For example, the very first step is just drinking your optimal amount of water every day. Now, it's simple, but some people say, well, I don't like water, or I need something with taste. Can I drink diet soda instead? No, no, because just the act of hydrating your body, just the act of drinking a chemical-free beverage that has no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, no increased acid load, just that act of drinking water energizes you, hydrates you, cleanses your body. Another one of the specific what's or habits that we do is detoxification. Not a 3-day detox or a 30-day detox. I'm talking about a daily habit of detoxifying your body. There are multiple ways to detoxify your body. You actually detoxify when you sweat. You detoxify when you have regular bowel movements. You detoxify when you move lymphatic fluid around your body by bouncing on a trampoline. You even detoxify when you just breathe properly, because the lungs are detoxifying in that case. So detoxifying, it increases your energy. As you detoxify your body, it will reduce fatigue, it will reduce pain. I don't have time in this brief presentation to go through all 12 what's, but when you start incorporating these habits, you are changing your health outlook, you are rewriting your genetic expression. These health benefits are things that I've been learning about and researching for over a decade. And not only that, but I have been incorporating them in my own life. Over 10 years ago, when I started my own wellness journey, I was dealing with incredible fatigue. I was dealing with a painful foot condition called plantar fasciitis. Some of you may know that, may have had it, may be experiencing it right now. But when I started to incorporate these changes, I watched that completely resolve. And then the third W that I want to encourage you to do is wisdom. Peter Sage put it this way. He said, people are drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. Wisdom is what transforms this information from theory to practice. Because I've just given you a lot of information, but wisdom is what will help you put it into practice. Wisdom, for example, the information says, I know I need to eat more fruits and vegetables, but wisdom is what makes you go out there and buy it and clean it and cut it up and make it as convenient to pull out of your refrigerator as a bag of chips. Wisdom is what will keep you from self-sabotaging by keeping junk food in the house, for example. I promise you, no matter what condition you're in right now, it's not too late to change your health outlook. Do it for you and do it for the generations of you. Do it to start this heritage of generational wellness. I invite you to follow me on social media, where I'm always giving out information and motivation to guide you on your journey to wellness. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Dr. Teresa Fuller, no H, or you can check out my website, www.drteresafuller.com.
Wow. Phenomenal speakers. I told you, phenomenal speakers. Drop a comment below. I want to know what the golden nuggets are and what your takeaways were from this segment. Not only, again, for yourself, but I want you to take this nuggets, take this information to your community, to your friends, to your family. It's about empowering one another. We operate in excellence. And I'm so thankful that you were here to hear these phenomenal speakers. This segment was full of some powerful, rich gems for you to share and empower communities. I encourage you to visit blackspeakersnetwork.com/events/WHM23. That's Whiskey Hotel Mike 23. Don't look shocked. I told you I was military in the beginning. The link is in the comment below. And also, please watch the full series or any segments that you've missed. Invite people to watch the full series or segments. Remember, we operate in excellence. And as we come to a close of this segment, I encourage you to watch the entire series airing right here on this YouTube channel throughout the month of March. Phenomenal speakers sharing incredibly phenomenal nuggets. If you are either an organization looking for your next speaker or you're a speaker looking for your next gig, I suggest you click the link below to connect with Black Speakers Network. And speakers, if you want to amplify your voice and increase your visibility, I recommend you become a BSN member by clicking the link below, Black Speakers Network/join. Thank you for joining us today. I honor you, and I truly hope that you have gained some invaluable insights and lots of powerful nuggets from the phenomenal speakers to take into your community. I am Deana Johnson Myers, a 3-time best-selling author, international speaker, and your resiliency coach. You can follow me on social media at When She Rise 1. When She Rise 1. As we say on BSN, speak up, your audience awaits.